or not to play. What is a play? Find your seats and get comfortable, because it's curtains up on today's show.
Have you had the chance to go to the theater? No, I'm not talking about a movie theater, I'm talking about live theater. Comedies, tragedies, musicals, one-act plays, even opera. These are all examples of live theater. But the theater of today looks very different than how it started many millennia ago. During prehistoric time, cavemen would gather in caves around the fire and use signs, sounds, and even drawings on rocks to tell their tales. Most of these tales would be about the rituals and hunting stories. Although this was a very primitive, this could be thought of as the first theater. All cultures around the world have a form of theater and entertainment, such as kabuki theater from Japan or Sanskrit theater of India. The theater that we're familiar with today here in America, however, can be traced back to the Greeks and Romans. In Athens, Greece, around 3,000 years ago, there was a mass religious celebration that involved chanting and costumes. People would take part in processions dressed up in vibrant costumes and masks with exaggerated personas and facial features. Around 6000 BCE, these practices evolved. They still had the processions, but they also featured structured public contests in the arts. The first plays were performed with just one actor, called a protagonist, and a chorus of people who helped him tell the story. However, throughout the 5th century BCE, playwrights continued to innovate. By the way, just for reference, the 5th century BCE is about 2,500 years ago, give or take a few years. I rounded a little bit. It makes it easier to work with in my head. Okay, enough of that. Back to Greek theater. Slowly, one by one, more actors were added into the plays, such as an antagonist, and things like a prologue, which introduced the subject of a play, were added to the structure of all plays. Soon, theaters were built to help with acoustics so that actors could be heard clearly even at far distances, like this theater. The word theater comes from the ancient Greek word theatron, which means a place for viewing. Roman theater soon followed in the footsteps that the Greeks established, they just made everything bigger. The theater shows of today have a lot more production value than what the Greeks could have ever imagined. Even though the Greeks and Romans used pyrotechnics and other special effects, they pale in comparison to the technology that we have today. Even with all this technology available, it still takes a team behind the scenes to make it all happen. Most of the time, you will never see this team and what they do to make the show happen, but their jobs are just as important as the actors you do see. These people include the playwright who writes the show, the director who takes the written play and translates it to the stage performance, the sound designer who creates the sound you hear during a show, the lighting designer who lights the actors and the set, the set designer who designs the set elements, the costume designer who creates all the costumes needed for the show, the property master who's in charge of either sourcing or creating all the props used in the show and on the sets, the stage manager who calls all the cues from the designer and also makes sure that the show runs smoothly. We also can't forget about the stage technicians. There's a wide range of jobs that they do, from running the sound and light consoles to operating the fly rail, which lifts and lowers the curtains and sets, even moving set pieces around the stage during transitions. There are many other jobs that stage technicians do, but we could spend an entire episode on that alone. Today, we'll pull back the curtain and learn about some of these important jobs.
I tried acting on a farm once. It went so terribly. I got mooed off stage.
There would be no play without a playwright, and a playwright is the person who writes the plays. The most famous playwright was William Shakespeare, and he wrote more than 37 plays. I wish I could be more like William Shakespeare. Well, maybe not.
If you want to write your own play, Here are some of the questions you'll want to answer. Is the story we're telling serious or silly? What kind of people are the characters in the story? How do they get into trouble? And what do they do to get back out again? Let's walk through these questions together with the story of the Three Little Pigs. So what kind of story is this? Silly or serious? Well, the Three Little Pigs is a fairy tale, so I think that means it's a serious kind of story. And in theater, that's called a drama. What kind of characters are in the story? We have 3 little pigs and 1 big bad wolf. Each pig has their own personality and work ethic, and it shows in how they decide to build their houses. Pig number 1, whose house is made of straw, is lazy and would rather play instead of work. Pig number 2 makes his house a little sturdier out of sticks, but would still rather play instead of work on building his house. But pig number 3, he's different. He's smart, and he works hard to make his house out of bricks, complete with a fireplace. Okay, that's all 3 pigs. Now let's talk about the bad guy. The big bad wolf is what we call the antagonist, or the person who causes trouble in the story. His goal is to eat all 3 pigs, and in this case, that makes him loud, clever, and dangerous. Now we have the characters, and we know a little bit about who they are. We also have the conflict. Our pigs have to try and avoid being eaten by the wolf. Can the houses they made stand up to him? That's the question we have to answer in the story. So, they build their houses, and we find out that straw doesn't protect pig number 1, so he runs away to pig number 2's house. Pig number 2's house of sticks doesn't protect them either. It blows down too. Now pig number 1 and 2 have to run away to pig number 3's house. Pig number 3 spent all that time making his house strong and sturdy. The bricks do protect them, but the story's not over yet. The wolf can't blow the house down, but now he shows what else makes him dangerous. He's smart. Remember how pig number 3 built a chimney? The wolf is going to climb down the chimney and try to eat the pigs. This is the most dramatic point in the story. It's called the climax. Pig number 3 also shows that he's smart, and he builds a fire in that fireplace. The wolf tries to climb down, but the fire is in the way, so he gets burned and he leaves. The pigs are safe, and the wolf has been defeated. Yay! Pig number 3 also proved his point that putting in the work is worthwhile. And now pigs number 1 and 2 have learned their lesson, and everybody can live happily ever after.
It's time for Shakespeare Says.
All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts.
This has been Shakespeare Says.
If you want to be a director, all you need is the right tools, the right chair, and the right outfit. And don't forget, it's your way or the highway.
Wrong. This is not what a director does.
In reality, a stage director's job is to translate the screenplay from a literary form, words on paper, into the visual form, actors on a stage. They oversee the artistic and technical elements of the overall production. Group leadership is a must, as well as the ability to maintain focus in a stressful environment. Because the play depends on the cooperation of many different creative individuals, the director must be able to mediate conflict whenever necessary. The stage director ensures that all individuals involved are working towards a united goal and vision. This requires conversations about the goal to encourage buy-in and ownership of the work.
Each person has to fulfill a role, and it often takes an observer to tell if people are doing the correct things from the point of view of the audience. In a way, the director is a lot like an air traffic controller. Each director adds their own style or flavor to their work. You might have the exact same play directed by different people, and it could seem very different. The director can give feedback to actors and the behind-the-scenes crew. They can change and tweak body language, stage directions, and even props and stage scenery.
You don't have to have a fancy stage like the one behind me. You can get started by directing plays in your house, making your own scenery, and doing what you can in your community. How about it? Do you want to be a director?
Lights, camera, action!
Actors are an important part of a play, but if you take away the costume, the scene, and the sound, you end up with actors kind of standing in the dark. There are a lot of people that work together behind the scenes to set the tone and make a play come alive, and they're called a set, costume, and sound designers. A set designer decorates the stage with scenes, and this visual helps create the atmosphere and helps the audience understand what the play is about. A set designer can build a scene with wood and other materials, they can draw or paint it, and they can even locate and move different props and pieces of furniture to build a scene. A costume designer is the person responsible for deciding what the actors will wear. They read the script to make sure that the clothes they find match that particular time period and meet with the director to make sure that their clothing choices are okay. Costume designers may search different stores and shops for costumes, or they may even design their own from scratch. A sound designer is responsible for everything you hear when you're watching a play. This includes sound effects like thunder, birds chirping, and music, whether it's already been created or being played live by an orchestra. Sound designers also make sure that we can hear all the actors' voices. Did you know that you can be your own scene, costume, and sound designer? Let's get some ideas on how you can make your own designs for any play that you create.
In order to transport our audience, we're going to need to make a new scenery. You can use existing furniture in your house, cardboard, everyday items like aluminum, and your home printer to create beautiful scenes. Let's see what we can make. I'm going to take this ordinary kitchen chair and decorate it into something completely new.
This is a great free resource to make big scenery images. It's called Block Posters. Go to blockposters.com and upload your own image. Be sure to use copyright-free images, and you can make it as big as you want. Let's go ahead and make this refrigerator. That's going to be the scenery piece for us. Print it and have fun. Once you've printed out your scenery, go ahead and cut out the edges. This way we can tape together the images and it will be seamless. Okay, now I'm using clear tape to tape together my large poster-sized image. It looks pretty real, but remember, your audience is going to be far away, so it's okay if it's not perfect. If your prop needs cardboard, always practice safety. Ask an adult for help. Please cut away from yourself and keep your fingers away from the blade.
Now that we have our images, let's go ahead and tape it to the chair, and we can get started with our movable prop.
The first step is to tape your poster to your chair. I'm using the back of the chair and I'm using some clear tape. It's taping up pretty well. The next step is to tape your image to cardboard and then your cardboard to your chair. It looks pretty good. All you need to do is use strong tape so make sure that it won't fall apart when you open it.
The fun doesn't stop here. What I've done is taken aluminum foil and made my own prop. You can make all sorts of tools with aluminum foil. You can also grab a bowl from the kitchen, and that can be also a part of your prop. Another idea is to take some of your printed pages and make it into an interactive piece. What can you do with your imagination? Maybe it's not a kitchen. Maybe you make a life-size cardboard car. Or you can make a great historical site. I'd love to see your creations.
Did you know that you can create costumes from stuff you already have around your house?
Grab a blanket and you can have a cape for a royal adventure, and you can create an awesome royal crown. Or drop the crown and add a stick and you are a wizard. This white shirt and this paper hat turns me into a nurse. This hat turns me into a cowgirl. I have a rope so I can rope and ride. Yeehaw!
The possibilities are endless. What kind of characters can you find around your house?
Sound effects can embellish what's happening in your play, even if you're a little limited on props.
Examine objects and surfaces around your home and use your imagination when you listen so you can hear the sounds they remind you of.
The job of a lighting designer is to light the stage, set, and actors. That sounds easy, but trust me, it's a lot harder than you think. You have to keep a lot of things in mind. As a lighting designer, you read the script and take the vision of the director and figure out what each scene looks like and what lighting needs it will require. A lighting designer will think about what time of day the scene takes place in, or if it's indoors, what kind of light does that room have? Does the scene have to be realistic, or maybe you have an opportunity to be more artistic with the design? Does the lighting need to be dramatic, or are there special lighting effects that are needed to happen? It can become quite complicated very quickly. Then you need to figure out what kind of equipment you'll need and where each of these lights will be placed. Lighting designers use lighting plots to help bring their designs to life. Think of it like a blueprint so that other technicians can understand how and where the lights need to be placed. Another aspect of a lighting designer's job is to create the cues for lighting changes. The stage manager calls these cues to the lightboard operator, who pushes the buttons for the lights to change. There's a lot more that goes into the job of being a lighting designer, and I hope I help shed some light on what they do.
Sanford Meisner was a legendary acting coach who defined acting like this: acting is behaving truthfully under imaginary circumstances. It's an actor's job to have realistic reactions to other characters and events in the play. Of course, it's also their job to memorize their lines, listen to the director, and work with everyone involved in the play. But the primary job of an actor is being on stage and reacting to what is happening, even if they are not speaking or part of the main action. To be believable, actors think a lot about their characters. What's their story? How did they get to be involved in the events of the play? What kind of person are they? And then they use their voice, body movement, facial expressions, gestures to become that character. So if you're going to be acting, first think about your character. Who are they? Think about their age, background, and how they became involved in the story. Then think about how they sound. You don't have to do a fancy accent. You can do a lot to make your voice sound different just by changing a few little things. Decide if your character would use a low, high, fast, slow, loud, or quiet voice. You can even use a combination of these. Maybe your character uses a high-pitched, slow voice. Then think about how your character moves. Do they stand up straight, tall, and proper? Do they slouch? Do they use their hands a lot when they talk? Are their eyebrows constantly furrowed? Let's say we're putting on a play. If I'm playing the heroine, maybe I'll want to stand up straight and tall and make heroic poses, speak in a loud, clear, and steady voice. If I'm playing the sidekick, maybe I'll be really excited, kind of bouncy, and talk fast. If I'm playing the villain, maybe I'll want to slouch a little and speak quietly and always be looking around. There's lots of elements to play around with. What will your characters be like?
All right, okay. Wait, no. No. That was the end?
enjoyed learning all about theater with us today, I've got a few ideas for how you can keep it going. First off, of course, there are hundreds of books about theater and acting in our library collection just waiting for you to check them out, including Amazing Grace by Mary Hoffman. Even though a classmate says that she can't play Peter Pan in the school play since she's black, Grace discovers that she can do anything she sets her mind to do. The Bear Must Go On by Dev Petty. A group of animal friends, including a rabbit, a bear, and a couple of squirrels, try and put on a show. Read to see what important thing they forget and how the shy bear steps up to help. Short by Holly Goldberg Sloan. Julia hates how short she is, but she's learning to like herself while putting on a production of The Wizard of Oz. Summer Lost by Ali Condi. A summer spent at the Summer Lost Theater brings friendship and healing as a couple of new friends piece together clues about someone from their town. Okay, if you're done waiting in the wings and you're ready to really strut your stuff, you can see if your school has a drama club, or you can also look into the Stage West Theater here in Fort Worth. Every year they have a neighborhood play contest open to North Texas students from kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade. You write a short play, scene, poem, monologue, or prose, and the winning entries are performed at the Festival of the Kid, where all the pieces are written by kids, performed by kids, and directed by local professionals. Visit stagewest.org for more details. Now break a leg, and we'll see you next time.